This is English shorthand dictation number 147 and the dictation speed is 140 words per minute. Ready? Start. Honorable Chairperson, the members of the Constituent Assembly were unanimous in their opinion that there should be no arbitrary exercise of power in independent India. They instituted several provisions in the Constitution that would establish the rule of law. The most important of these was that all persons in independent India are equal before the law. The law cannot discriminate between persons on the basis of their religion, caste, or gender. What the rule of law means is that all laws apply equally to all citizens of the country and no one can be above the law. Neither a government official, nor a wealthy person, nor even the president of the country is above the law. Any crime or violation of law has a specific punishment as well as a process through which the guilt of the person has to be established. With the adoption of the Constitution, this document served as the foundation on which our representatives began making laws for the country. Every year, our representatives pass several new laws as well as amend existing ones. The Parliament has an important role in making laws. There are many ways through which this takes place, and it is often different groups in society that raise the need for a particular law. An important role of Parliament is to be sensitive to the problems faced by people. The role of citizens is crucial in helping Parliament frame different concerns that people might have into laws. From establishing the need for a new law to its being passed, at every stage of the process, the voice of the citizen is a crucial element. This voice can be heard through TV reports, newspaper editorials, radio broadcasts, local meetings, all of which help in making the work that Parliament does more accessible and transparent to the people. Let us now look at the situation where the Parliament passes laws that turn out to be very unpopular. Sometimes a law can be constitutionally valid and hence legal, but it can continue to be unpopular and unacceptable to people because they feel that the intention behind it is unfair and harmful. Hence, people might criticize this law, hold public meetings, write about it in newspapers, report to TV news channels, etc. In a democracy like ours, citizens can express their unwillingness to accept repressive laws framed by the Parliament. When a large number of people begin to feel that a wrong law has been passed, then there is pressure on the Parliament to change this. If the law favors one group and disregards the other, it will be controversial and lead to conflict. People who think that the law is not fair can approach the court to decide on the issue. The court has the power to modify or cancel laws if it finds that they do not adhere to the Constitution. We need to remember that our role as citizens does not end with electing our representatives. Rather, it is then that we begin to use newspapers and the media to carefully chart the work that is being done by our elected representatives and criticize their actions when we feel it is required. Thus, what we should bear in mind is that it is the extent, involvement, and enthusiasm of the people that helps Parliament perform its representative functions properly. To enforce the rule of law, we have a judicial system that consists of the mechanism of courts that a citizen can approach when a law is violated. As an organ of the government, the judiciary plays a crucial role in the functioning of India's democracy. It can play this role only because it is independent. It is the independence of the judiciary that allows the courts to play a central role in ensuring that there is no misuse of power by the legislature and the executive. It also plays a crucial role in protecting the fundamental rights of citizens because anyone can approach the courts if they believe that their rights have been violated. There are three different levels of courts in our country. There are several courts at the lower level, while there is only one at the apex level. The courts that most people interact with are what are called subordinate or district courts. These are usually at the district level or in towns, and they hear many kinds of cases. Each state is divided into districts that are presided over by a district judge. Each state has a high court, which is the highest court of that state. At the top is the Supreme Court, that is located in New Delhi and is presided over by the Chief Justice of India. The decisions made by the Supreme Court are binding on all other courts in India. In principle, all citizens of India can access the courts in this country. This implies that every citizen has a right to justice through the courts. The courts play a very significant role in protecting our fundamental rights. If any citizen believes that their rights are being violated, then they can approach the court for justice to be done. While the courts are available for all, in reality, access to courts has always been difficult for a vast majority of the poor in India. Legal procedures involve a lot of money and paperwork, as well as take up a lot of time. For a poor person who cannot read or whose family depends on a daily wage, the idea of going to court to get justice often seems remote. Today, most countries in the world have a constitution. While all democratic countries are likely to have a constitution, it is not necessary that all countries that have a constitution are democratic. The constitution serves several purposes. First, it lays out certain ideals that form the basis of the kind of country that we as citizens aspire to live in. If we put it another way, a constitution tells us what the fundamental nature of our society is. A country is usually made up of different communities of people who share certain beliefs but may not necessarily agree on all issues. A constitution helps serve as a set of rules and principles that all persons in a country can agree upon as the basis of the way in which they want the country to be governed. This includes not only the type of government but also an agreement on certain ideals that they all believe the country should uphold. In countries that have adopted a democratic form of government or polity, the constitution plays a crucial role in laying out certain important guidelines that govern decision making within these societies. In a democracy, we choose our leaders so that they can exercise power responsibly on our behalf. However, there is always the possibility that these leaders might misuse their authority, and the Constitution usually provides safeguards against this. In democratic societies, the Constitution often lays down rules that guard against this misuse of authority by our political leaders. In the case of the Indian Constitution, many of these laws are contained in the section on fundamental rights. The Indian Constitution guarantees the right to equality to all persons and says that no citizen can be discriminated against on grounds of religion, race, caste, gender, and place of birth. The right to equality is one of the fundamental rights guaranteed by the Indian Constitution. Another important function that a constitution plays in a democracy is to ensure that a dominant group does not use its power against other, less powerful people or groups. Such unhealthy situations can occur in democratic societies too, where a majority can continuously enforce decisions that exclude minorities and go against their interests. The Constitution usually contains rules that ensure that minorities are not excluded from anything that is routinely available to the majority. Another reason why we have a constitution is precisely to prevent this tyranny or domination by the majority of a minority. This can refer to one community dominating another, or members of one community dominating others within the same community. The third significant reason why we need a constitution is to save us from ourselves. This may sound strange, but what is meant by this is that we might at times feel strongly about an issue that might go against our larger interests, and the constitution helps us guard against this.